There is a substitute on. The 14, Blanco, is on. It's 11. Well, so far so good for West Ham United as they start the second half. Reminder that they're in their change strip tonight of all white. One or two anxious moments for Phil Parkes, but really on a night when security is at the highest level and around the ground, there hasn't been a great deal of security at the back for Castilla, and they've made a substitution in fact at half-time. They've taken off Sidon and brought on Blanco, who's wearing number 14. Here's Stewart for West Ham. And Goddard was unfairly holding as he tried to turn his marker. It looks as though Alvarez has been pushed further forward, the number 8, alongside Paco, and Blanco has come into midfield. A little nick away at the heels of Pat Holland from Casemiro, who really has had his hands full tonight with Pat Holland in lively form. Holland, of course, who not only missed the first leg in Madrid, but was also absent in a very disappointed way from the cup final. Espinosa. Here's Sanchez Lorenzo, always trying to work the ball onto his left foot. Alvarez. West Ham now must keep their concentration at a high level, and one wonders just how much harder that is to do in these sort of circumstances. Players always say when they have to play in the reserves through lack of form or coming back from injury, how difficult it is to keep their concentration up. But West Ham must now be alert. Against Balin, and Bond's there to tidy up. Balin looked hopefully towards the referee as he went down, but the tackle was clearly a clean one. The back header from Pike, on from Holland, and it's a West Ham throw. West Ham with a chance tonight of recording their best ever win in European competition. In 1965 they beat Olympiakos Piraeus, the Greek side, 4-0. And a touch towards cross, but Miguel off his line quickly. Ray Stewart closing down quickly on Paco. And it's Stewart who puts the header out. The Spanish side actually arrived in England yesterday lunchtime under close security. And perhaps that's the worst thing that's befallen them so far. A clumsy challenge from Billy Bonds. Certainly the vigilance of the security officers around the party has been of the highest order. And many of these Castilla players making their first trip away from Spain. The referee having a word with the captain, Bernal. Here's Stewart. Away from Salguero. And now Alvarez in his new role in the second half, further forward. Certainly the match being played in the best of spirits between the two sides, and one wonders how different that might have been if there'd been a crowd here, perhaps inflaming the passions a little bit. But it's a clinical performance from West Ham. Nicely claimed by Miguel. Long from Blanco, the substitute. And Alvarez, who certainly has been busy for Castilla, and for his efforts, he gets dumped on his backside by Frank Lampard with the late tackle. And it might come for Paco here. Alvin Martin, full stretch to clear his lines. Now Brooking, who's not fully fit and has been quite happy to cruise, particularly when West Ham managed to find their goal touch. Blanco, the substitute, then with the throw. Here's Balin. Alvarez, slipping Bonds nicely. And Parks again showing good judgment off his line. Castilla had two players waiting for the cross. Here's Devonshire. Holland breaking ahead of him, and the pass inside Casemiro, but picked off easily by the sweeper Salguero. Well, easily enough with possession, but with a back pass that really could have embarrassed Miguel. Offside against Paco. Now Devonshire. The long legs of Bernal stretching out to make the challenge. And then finding Blanco with a neat pass. Casemiro coming forward. And Paco lets it run, and they're appealing for handball as the ball appeared to strike Bonds. And clearly Paco felt that it was a deliberate act by Billy Bonds. Couldn't have seen a great deal of the driven cross from Casemiro as Paco let it run. The referee was well placed to turn down the claims for the penalty. Space here for Bonds, and that might be costly for Castilla. Just looking to meet Bonds' ball forward. And that deflects behind off Blanco. Blanco, who's fitted in on the right-hand side of the Castilla midfield in this second half. So a corner for West Ham, with Bonds and Martin forward again. And it's Alvin Martin coming to meet it, but the referee not liking the challenge. Alvin Martin so strong in the air, and a player, of course, who really came of age in the cup final against Arsenal. Push again, this time by Lampard. Alvarez, now Blanco. Well, he saw a gap and was prepared to try the shot. And good ambition from the substitute. Blanco coming on for Sidon at half-time. Just saw a vestige of an opening on that far post from our camera position. It curled away from the post behind for the goal kick. Goddard mistiming a quite substantial leap, but here's Brooking. Trying to cut it back, and Holland coming in, and it's just too high for Pat Holland. But a characteristic piece of work from Trevor Brooking. And Pat Holland, who was involved in the third goal taking up a position on the far post. Lampard, Blanco playing it first time. Bonds and Alvarez again showing Bonds a clean pair of heels. Paco. Back for Balin. And the cross had Parks in two minds, and it needed the saving header from Stewart. The ball hit beyond the far post, and Stewart having to turn it behind for the corner. So although West Ham with 3 goals under their belts, if Castilla get one back, the whole situation is even again. Won by Bernal, and a good clearing header from Alan Devonshire. Collected though by Blanco. Changing the direction of the play for Castilla. Paco. Balin. Turned off it though by Martin. And Brooking darting through the middle, and he's not marked at the moment. But Alvin Martin opting to keep possession for West Ham, rather than play what was a much more difficult pass. Here's Pike taking over. A tackle from Salguero. And a touch from Alvarez, who's been the most impressive of the Castilla players tonight. And Alvarez going forward again, and Alvin Martin having to resort to a little bit of roughhouse tactics to stop Alvarez. Bernal, and they were caught watching as Bernal came forward with a really marvellous goal for Castilla. Well, John Lyle was talking of his shooting ability yesterday, so they knew all about him, but they were caught flat on their heels. And Castilla now level the tie. It's 3-1 here on the night, and that makes it 4 goals each on aggregate, with both sides having an away goal. And if it stays this way, it would go into extra time. The goal coming 11 minutes into the second half. So, a completely different complexion on things, and West Ham guilty of cruising a little, and they've been punished for it. Here's Brooking. Now Stewart. And Goddard finding Chendo there with a strong challenge that left Goddard down, and Paul Goddard was, like Trevor Brooking, a little doubtful for this tie. Balin in front of Lampard, and Parks need to come out quickly. Well, reward for Castilla, who never came here to defend their lead. They were always prepared to push men forward in the first half, even when the goals were going against them. But they must now defend in numbers. This free kick to West Ham. Blanco being told quite clearly to get back the full distance. Brooking and Devonshire over the ball. Bonds has already made a run forward, and that's Martin who couldn't make it. Sent back again by Stewart, and Bonds is onside. Martin got a touch. Here's Devonshire. Cross is checked out towards the far post, but the pass never looked like reaching him. And a prospect here of a break by Balin. And Alvarez is onside. The pass just an inch too long for him, but this is Paco with a second chance, and a tame effort that was blocked by Stewart, and then the ball rolling safely to Parks, and anxiety rippling through West Ham at the moment. And suddenly Castilla beginning to believe. Blanco. Free kick given to West Ham. Mr. Kaiser right on top of the incident. here's Goddard. And Balin foul from behind by Lampard. Free kick taken quickly by Blanco, but he couldn't curl it round Lampard. But Blanco again. And here's the man who's given a new dimension to this game, Bernal. And it breaks for Alvarez. And here's Casemiro, and West Ham are stretched again for the moment. But a wasted cross from Casemiro. But he got forward to make an extra man on Castilla's left going forward, as he needs to do with Sidon off the field in the second half. So half an hour remaining, and it could not be more evenly balanced. But here's Cross, and Goddard's got space if Cross can pick him out. But Miguel, the centre, always easier for the goalkeeper. Bonds. Here's Lampard. And they throw in, catching West Ham lacking in concentration again. Paco trying to divert it over Bonds, who got a head in, and an important interception it was for West Ham. And here's Holland. But Chendo there first. And with this crowd of around 250, it's still possible to detect an anxiety that's crept into those who are watching now. It was all so much a romp for a while for West Ham. But we're now seeing some of the strength of skill and of character that brought Castilla into the Spanish Cup final last season. But here's Devonshire, and he was pressurised all the time, but an awkward challenge that's left both Devonshire and Chendo in some pain. And certainly now West Ham are going to need a fully fit Alan Devonshire for the 28 minutes that remain of normal time. Certainly West Ham haven't been anything like as menacing going forward in this second half. And you do feel at the moment that a few choruses of "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" wouldn't go amiss as far as the players were concerned. So West Ham have the free kick. Taken by Brooking, but again, good defending by Castilla. It was Paco right back there to clear his lines. Espinosa. And now Ben Martin with the header away. Here's Blanco. Pass easily cut out by Stewart, and Chendo caught the wrong side of Goddard, and perhaps West Ham can break forward quickly here. Castilla equally quickly getting men back behind the ball, but here's Cross, and West Ham just a little indecisive when they needed to be positive. Here's Brooking for Pat Holland. Stewart has got forward into the box as well, and the acrobatic clearance was from Salguero. Salguero, who's been an important defender in his free role at the back. Now can Martin flick this on, and Cross is right in there, and the goalkeeper under pressure too from Goddard. An unfair pressure it was, as Castilla just creaked a little under the pressure from the long throw. needed for reclaiming a ball that would have been back in seconds on a normal Saturday afternoon here at Upton Park. But there's nothing really normal about this occasion. Back from Martin. And here's Bonds. Well, they're going to need all his urging and encouraging now, Bill Bonds. But it's Espinosa pushing forward for Castilla. Alvarez. Now Balin. Only Paco in the box. And as Balin looked to see what else was on, he enabled Lampard to make the challenge. Here's Sanchez Lorenzo. And now Blanco. And the feet were high by Blanco. Sanchez Lorenzo was leading the protests, but Mr. Kaiser, who's been assured in everything he's done, was on the spot again to give the free kick to West Ham. Now here's Brooking, and Castilla have given him a yard which might be costly. Holland making a run in field. And here's Devonshire with time to pull it down and set himself for the shot, which was blocked by Salguero. So West Ham, who really must have felt that they'd done the job at half-time, finding out, as so many teams do in European competition, that there are really very few soft touches about these days. And here's Bernal, who emphasised that point with a really spectacular away goal for Castilla. Devonshire. But they left Brooking, but the pass was too long. Here's Salguero. Alvarez. And the whistle goes again in Castilla's favour. Just the merest of nudges by Billy Bonds on the number 8, Alvarez. It's enough to put West Ham back under pressure. They just cannot put themselves really in a position of conceding a second goal and have any chance of going through, because that would give the advantage in away goals to Castilla. But here's Brooking. Goddard to his left. And offside. The header from Stewart. And if Castilla did score again, West Ham would have to score twice more. And in all honesty, in the second half, they haven't really looked like adding to the 3 that they got before half-time. Some bumping and boring there between Sanchez Lorenzo and Brooking. And Castilla, who were caught out of the free kick for the second goal, face Brooking over the ball again. Dinked in towards the near post, where it's met by Espinosa. And here's Balin, who's got real speed when he stretches his legs, and he's making Jeff Pike hurry all the way back with him, but Pike doing the defensive side of his job well. And Jeff Pike being asked to carry it forward again for West Ham. Nice touch from Cross. Taken up by Holland. This time West Ham a little slow in getting men forward into the penalty area. But Devonshire is there, beaten by Blanco. Here's Paco. And Balin. You could hear the yell of pain. And the shin guard doing its job. It's Lampard who came in late, and Balin just making a point to the referee. So Blanco plays the free kick short to Balin, who's made a quick recovery. And somehow manages to divert it to Chendo. Paco coming in on the far post, and the header deflected off Alvin Martin. And again, West Ham stretched at the back. And Castilla, of course, under no pressure from the genuine hostility from the West Ham crowd. And the long shot again from Salguero. And Castilla able to go about their work in a relaxed manner. Cross stooping to try and lay it off, but it was just too long for Pike. And here's Paco, who was held by Stewart. Another sign that West Ham are really now having to work, I think, in all honesty, much harder than they expected to do so, and certainly much harder than they could have expected the way things were going at half-time. Here's Balin. Was Lampard obstructing? No, said the referee, but Balin was holding. And the little flick from Alvarez counts for naught, because Balin, who might count himself a little bit unlucky not to have had a free kick in his favour for a little piece of obstruction by Frank Lampard, but then clearly Balin was holding Lampard's shirt. That came off Chendo, and Miguel serving his side well to stop the ball going behind for the corner. Devonshire. A touch from Alvarez. Back from Lampard. On from Devonshire, and the touch from Espinosa was enough to stop Cross getting into a dangerous position. And David Cross hasn't found the chances coming his way in the second half. And the level of competition on the field really at its sharpest point now. But one must say again that Mr. Kaiser has been the most vigilant of referees, and of course I'm sure he finds it a little bit easier without the crowd hooting and whistling at his decisions. And certainly the absence of a crowd less likely to inflame players to react when they hear a crowd respond. That's Brookings' touch. And here's Devonshire. This looks a little more promising for West Ham, and that's David Cross, who couldn't make the sort of contact that he wanted and that West Ham at this moment are desperately looking for to try to restore their grip on the game, both in terms of aggregate goals and in terms of the psychological feeling. So quarter of an hour left of normal time, and if there are no more goals, extra time beckons. Push by Sanchez Lorenzo. who has stayed so close to Trevor Brooking and has had to resort to some pushing and holding at times to keep Brooking at bay. And this is Alvin Martin going in for West Ham. A looping header from Goddard, and no one really going in with any great hunger to try and finish it off as Goddard knocked it back across the face of the goal. Brooking lets it run, touched on by Goddard. Cross wants it played in early. Holland's arriving as well, and that's David Cross, and it's the woodwork that thwarts West Ham and Cross in particular. David Cross had made his presence felt in the penalty area, arm raised, calling for the early ball to be played in, and it was a really thumping header that came out off the bar. Here's Devonshire, crosses in, hunting for the droppings again, but this time Devonshire can't get it in as quickly. Holland makes contact when the ball does arrive, and the anxiety from Miguel suggesting that it was a Castilla player who made the last contact, and West Ham have a corner. Holland to take it. This is Bonds, and now Brooking. And can Cross make contact? Well, he was beaten to it by Bernal. Cross turns it back once more. Now Goddard, and it nearly crept in for what would have been the softest of goals. Paul Goddard hardly made any sort of contact. Back from Lampard, and he had to be sure with Balin up quickly behind him. The header from Espinosa was a really solid one. Certainly Castilla lacking in confidence. There was the feeling in Spain that although Castilla had achieved so much in reaching the cup final when they were beaten by Real Madrid, that they perhaps shouldn't be allowed as a nursery second division club to go into the Cup Winners' Cup with Real Madrid taking their place in the Champions' Cup. Certainly Castilla have given a good account of themselves. But here's Cross trying to punish them now, and he's got Ray Stewart in support. And it was Paco whose arm, I think, struck unwittingly. But now Brooking, the angle's tight. Can Cross knock it back? Well, he went the direct route, and it was straight at Miguel. The angle was tight for David Cross. And Paco wasn't giving him the sort of support that he was calling for. Here's David Cross, and that was a really solid challenge from Espinosa that was penalised immediately by Mr. Kaiser. So Ray Stewart with the free kick. And the goalkeeper was caught in two minds, but it came to naught because Cross was pushing. Here's Stewart. Put out by Casemiro. Well, certainly those who are privileged to see this game behind closed doors are witnessing a real contest. And the goalkeeper having to be decisive. Now Bonds trying to drive it back towards an empty net as Miguel tried to recover his composure and his position. But Billy Bonds, fastening onto the loose ball some 25 yards out, couldn't direct it onto the target. Martin, really decisive in the air. And again. Sanchez Lorenzo. Nicely played wide by Bernal. Or Blanco. Here's Sanchez Lorenzo. Bernal again. Salguero coming forward. But they're overdoing it, and perhaps giving West Ham a chance to work quickly on the counter-attack. But the impetus is lost. And Paco almost given a chance to get the ball back. We move now into the last 10 minutes of normal time. Balin, Casemiro and Ray Stewart, and Casemiro wins the race for Alvarez. Here's Casemiro again. Balin. There's no one wide to the right as Balin looks. But it'll come for Blanco. And Bonds with a miscue. Now Sanchez Lorenzo. And time at last for West Ham and Frank Lampard. And certainly you see in the Castilla style that they don't push up to try and play offside, as so often is the case in English football. But West Ham really haven't made any great use in the second half of the extra space that affords. Here's Brooking. Bonds has made a run from deep, and that's David Cross with a heading chance, but he couldn't direct onto the target. Coming with 9 minutes left of normal time. Balin. Well, again, one wonders what the crowd would make of a back pass with their team not yet secure. But a thoroughly absorbing contest that takes your mind off the strange circumstances in which the game is being played. Here's Martin. Well, they're allowing him to shoot, and it was so close from Alvin Martin. They backed off him, the Castilla players. And in the end, after assessing one or two other options, Alvin Martin plumped for the shot and hit it well. Good header from Devonshire, who thought it was deflected. The throw goes to Castilla, and a foul throw at that by Salguero. You could see the referee's gesture, throwing it straight down into the ground, not releasing the ball cleanly. Here's Brooking. Closed down quickly by two players. Devonshire won't come for Goddard, might come for Pike. Here's Stewart, who has power in both feet, but prefers to shoot with the right. In the end, Castilla forced him onto his left side. Here's Paco. On for Alvarez. Paco had continued his run, but Martin's there before him. Cross coming to meet it, but couldn't make contact, but perhaps Goddard can. Here's Cross. Now Stewart. As Cross goes towards the far post, Espinosa goes with him, his marker, and Holland tries to get a better angle on the cross. West Ham have to settle for the throw. Now Brooking. Sanchez Lorenzo losing his balance, and Brooking, as Bonds went in, a fine catch by Miguel. for once the Castilla defenders were caught wrong-footed. Bonds would have been left with a clear header had the goalkeeper been less decisive. Here's Balin, who was being pushed and shoved by Lampard. With 5 minutes of normal time remaining, and a goal now would be a real body blow for West Ham. Here's Blanco. Balin gets a touch. Paco looking for it as well, but unfairly. Most of the shouting that you hear now is coming from the West Ham bench rather than from the players. Lampard, I could just detect, trying to lift the side again, but West Ham's mood is subdued at the moment. Here's Devonshire. Blanco, who sat in on that right-hand side for Castilla in the second half. Pike, and Brooking taking it from him well. Lampard, but it was a desperation ball and something of a desperation clearance by Chendo. Salguero reacting badly under pressure as well. Here's Brooking. West Ham now searching for something dramatic to stop the game going into extra time, and they have a chance here from the free kick. Bonds is forward, Alvin Martin is there as well. Goddard is poised to make a dart towards the near post. It's Alvin Martin who goes in, and it's a corner. His header deflecting behind with 3 minutes remaining of normal time. Cross trying to get there at the near post, the goalkeeper doing enough. And stabbed back by Lampard, and it was really all that he could do under pressure from Balin. So West Ham must build again from the back. And it's a fairly unsophisticated ball forward. And it ends in a free kick to Castilla. By Espinosa. Nicely laid off by Balin, but Blanco couldn't control it. Here's Pike, and West Ham really haven't brought Holland into the game as much as they did in the first half, where he was a real thorn in the Spaniards' side. Casemiro, who's done a much tighter job in the second half, and a free kick given against Stewart. So Bernal, whose goal it is that seems to have brought us to extra time. The Clarks, who didn't have a sniff of a chance of saving the 35-yarder that rifled into the top corner. Paco. Here's Alvarez. Castilla have 4 men forward. Paco is one. Balin. And here comes Salguero trying to make the extra man, and he covered some 50 yards to get there and was looking to be on the blind side of the West Ham defenders, and it nearly came off for Castilla. Devonshire showing his strength in possession. We're inside the final minute now of normal time. Brooking, but Holland will have to turn to collect And although there was contact with Casemiro, it was by no means intentional on the defender's part. Alvarez. Now Balin and Sanchez Lorenzo darting ahead of him. Paco is forward again and was looking to let it run and was holding Martin. So the referee, Mr. Kaiser, consulting the watch, which should tell him that he's moving into time added on for injuries and stoppages at the end of 90 minutes. And a short, sharp blast, and it's extra time. West Ham United, with those 3 goals in the first half, really pegged back by the shot from Bernal, and so it's 4 goals each on aggregate. Both teams have an away goal, and we have 30 minutes of extra time. John Lyall off the bench to talk to his players, and he must be bitterly disappointed that it's gotten this far. It really has been a tie in which there's been a saga of missed opportunities by West Ham. In Spain, they were clearly the better side. They scored first and then had what they call a silly quarter of an hour in which they allowed Castilla to score 3 times. And they appeared to have put that behind them with the 3 first half goals here. And then a lapse of concentration, and they were punished. Roy, a request from Alan. Could we ask Houston for the Forest score?